Okay.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, for the record, everyone is here this evening, and Councilwoman Baumgartner is here virtually. With that, we'll have Personal Appeals Part 1. If you have a personal appeal, please approach the podium, sign in, state your name, where you're from, and you have 5 minutes for your appeal.
And again, that microphone in particular also has issues. If you could talk right into it, I'd appreciate that, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Iris Souder. I'm here to request a solution to a parking problem I'm having at my property. So I own both 18 and 20 North 4th Street in the commercially zoned part of Emmaus. I reside in 18 and rent out 20. Currently 20 has a private parking pad on the side of the house, which I reserved for my tenants, while 18 does not have parking of any kind, as the street parking on this block of 4th Street is limited to 2-hour parking. Adjacent to the residence at 18, the property I own is being used as a fenced backyard. My tentative plan is to turn this space into a private parking pad. However, doing so would force the borough to eliminate two-hour parking street spots for me to have 24/7 curb access. After consulting with Mr. Farnsworth in zoning, I was assured I do have the right to do this. I'd prefer to keep this space as a backyard and to not eliminate 2 street parking spaces, which is why I'm writing this letter. I wanted to propose an unconventional solution. I am asking for permission to allow my 2 vehicles to use the on-street parking on the block for longer than the 2-hour period. The previous owner knew the police and had an understanding with them, so it was never an issue for her, but it has become a problem for me. To clarify, I am not asking for permanent designated street parking spaces. All the spaces on the block would continue to remain first come, first serve, but rather an exemption of some sort to the 2-hour limit. Sorry, I'm nervous. To the 2-hour limit so that my 2 vehicles don't receive a ticket if they are parked for longer than the posted limit. This compromise would allow me to keep my fenced backyard and allow the borough to preserve the 2 spaces in front of my property. I hope we can come to a solution, and I thank you for considering my request. Thank you.
Thank you. I will submit that to the Safety Committee to discuss.
Okay.
So, yeah, at our next Public Safety Committee meeting, which, Mr. Hart, when are we scheduled for?
I think it's the 14th, no?
Chad, can you get her letter, please?
Sure. September 14th, it says in here.
September 14th, okay. I'll take that.
And did you sign in?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for her?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
The real question, from a legal standpoint, is whether you should remove the 2-hour or change the 2-hour period. Obviously, you can't give her a special spot. She's not a person with disability or anything like that. So it's either you keep it at 2 hours, you get rid of the 2 hours and let it go the way it goes, or you make it 4 hours, or whatever.
Ms. Souder, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What if they did 2-hour parking for a certain amount of time during the day? Would that address your issue?
Like business hours?
In other words, if it was 8 to 5?
Well, I actually work in Emmaus as well, so I would like my car to be there, for whatever time period I'm not using it, if possible. But to address what you were saying, I'm not asking for that designated spot, I'm just asking to not get ticketed.
understood.
Like to have like, I don't know, a piece of paper on my dashboard so that the police know not to like ticket me.
Well, what the manager was suggesting
Yeah.
was an alternative where they might keep the 2 hours on during the business day, and then at night, it would not be on.
Right, at night and on the weekends.
But isn't that how it is now? Like it's only 2-hour parking during the day?
Yeah, so you want your car to be parked on the public street 24/7 is what you're asking for?
Yeah,
not
and
get-
like currently my boyfriend also works from home, so he's not going into work either. So that is also an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, they'll discuss it at the committee.
Okay.
You're more than welcome to come. It's a public committee, but you can also attend it through Zoom.
Okay.
If you're able to, I would recommend that you do.
And the date for that is?
September 14th
Okay.
at 9,
9:15
at
a.m.
9:15.
It
So-
will, it will only be Zoom.
Yeah, it'll only be via Zoom.
okay.
If you go on our website or our Facebook page,
Okay.
the information is there. If for some reason you can't, call into town hall and we'll get you the meeting ID numbers.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll see if we have any virtual public appeals. So we'll give Shane a second to unmute them.
Okay, so
At this time, does anybody on Zoom have a public appeal? Hearing none, we'll let Shane mute them again.
Okay, so there's none. All right, I will mute everyone. And I'm going to unmute Shanna and Jonas.
Stick 'em in there.
Okay.
All right, at this time, does anybody have a community minute to bring forward? Any updates on the concert series or Councilwoman?
Just a
McManaman.
quick reminder that the Emmaus Community Yard Sale is Saturday, September 12th, this coming Saturday from 8 to 4 p.m. There are yard sale guidelines. We are asking for single family only, the wearing of masks and social distancing, the limiting of handling of items, and if at all the families can encourage one-way traffic, that would be wonderful. So we hope a lot of people participate. The permit fee is waived for that day.
Excellent. Anybody else? So, as you know, oh, you have some?
Yeah, I was just going to speak to the summer concerts. They wrapped up, our mini-series wrapped up on Sunday. I believe that we as a council and as a public, or a Parks and Recreation Committee did an excellent job in establishing the social distancing guidelines, the sanitation efforts, the ticketing system. We had a very good crowd for the Swing Time Dolls on Sunday. We weren't able to live stream that, but for a good reason. You know, our live streamer is a new dad, and the baby was only 2 days old. So, you know, he had to take care of mommy and baby. So we were very happy for him. But overall, I think the concerts were a success. We had good weather throughout, which was great. And our movie in the park, I think, was a success. And I think, we figured it out. And I don't know how many people said thank you because we did something. And, and they were able to spread out. You know, we limited it to 250 people. I don't think we ever hit the 250. I think that even though every one of them sold out, I guess you could say, a lot of people, and that was kind of the frustrating thing, I think, when you have a band like the Large Flowerheads that would normally bring in 2,000 people, and you see a crowd of only 170 because a bunch of people booked up the 4 tickets and didn't use 2 of them. That was frustrating. But the live stream, for the Large Flowerheads sold 12,000 people. That's how many hits we had on it at one shot. So, I think it was a great success, and thank you for your support in that. And moving forward, that's something that maybe we look at live streaming more in the future, even as hopefully next year we don't have to deal with what we're dealing with. But it did go very well. So thank you.
Just to add to that, I want to thank all the council members. Everyone came out, helped out at the shows. Shane was there for all four. He was there with us, pretty much open to close. Thank you to our, to you for doing that. And also Public Works. Public Works set up the perimeter and put up all the lines around it, so we had our, everybody inside. So they did a great job and for cleanup, so great events. Look forward to more in the future.
Also, Chad's brought his tent every week, didn't he?
Yeah, Chad.
Set it up.
Chad was there with us, hand in hand, open to close, like everyone except for one, which was like just crazy.
It was a very good time, and I'd like to also thank the auxiliary police too. Those guys were there helping and directing people as well, and just everyone from the community was extremely respectful.
So also we had food trucks there for everyone, and as we look across the street at the theater, they had their Bananarama truck there. They got a special message out there today. So
All right, that's just wrong. The other partner, though, that I think is key is the Main Street partners were side by side with us throughout the entire series. And Ashley Laura, a special thank you to her. She was also there the entire time.
Absolutely.
And so, we do want to thank them, and we appreciate that partnership. And I know that, we've already talked to them about more of that in the future. So we definitely want to thank them as well.
Great. Anybody else? Shane, at this time, I'd like to request that you unmute everyone on Zoom for a second.
No, that's not right.
No, unmute them.
I second that.
Don't we serve at the pleasure of the president?
There's two more yet. One more.
No, I asked them all.
Oh, they're remuting themselves?
Yeah.
All right. As you know, Shane's working here on his 40th birthday, and it's a special milestone for everyone, and usually you have a big party with family and friends, and with all the stuff that's going on, that's not capable of happening. So at this time, your Borough friends are going to sing happy birthday to you.
I'm glad this building's too old to have
Sprinklers.
Well, it would be better if we had actual 40 candles, but there you go.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, well.
Hold on. Don't burn the place down.
I could see tomorrow's morning.
Guess I should have brought matchsticks. All right, everyone, please join in. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shane. Happy birthday to you. Make a wish and blow it out.
Thank you.
Yay.
Where are the ladies at for the
Oh, he missed it. He could have sang too.
You want to hold your punch
It was a deep bag.
Yeah, here.
It looks like a muffin rabbit.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And just remember, Roy, you turn 50 in a couple weeks. I do believe you're in the same room on your 50th birthday.
I might be Zooming that day.
You're Zooming. Thanks again, I appreciate it.
All right, with special presentations, we have none. Reading of the minutes, we have the August 17th meeting minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all those in... Okay, go ahead. Councilwoman Baumgartner.
I just said I had some corrections. I didn't get a chance to read them. Shane, did they all get in there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Moving on to decisions on bids, we have none. Communications, we received 4. Representative Justin Simmons sent a response to our fireworks resolution, basically saying that there are bills and committees, and so far none of them have moved forward. Board of Health volunteer application, we got a Carolyn Davison that applied. Was she interviewed yet, or does she need to be interviewed?
We interviewed her right before the council meeting.
All right,
Chad, Mr. Balliet.
Councilman Balliet, you want to handle that now? Then we don't have to wait for the committee meeting.
Sure. So we interviewed Carol, and Carol has over 35 plus years of experience in the health field and is also a lifetime long learner, which is great. She has the energy and the drive for what this board needs, and it has, I think, 3, technically 4 spots of vacancy. But I would like to make a motion to recommend her to fill a term that expires 1/1 of '24.
There's a motion by Councilman Balliet. Is there a second? Councilman Hart? Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. There must be a delay, huh?
Yeah, there is, slight.
We received a letter from Alan Sylvester for a vacancy on the Recreation and Entertainment Committee, or Commission rather.
Commission.
And he was interviewed by the Parks and Recreation Committee. Is that you, Chairwoman Baumgartner? That's your committee?
Yes, we interviewed him. He owns a media production company. He's an event vendor. He came with a lot of great ideas for what he had in mind for the commission and the types of events that they could put on for our community. So we definitely are happy to recommend him as a Board of Commission, Recreation and Entertainment Commission board member. So I put that in form of motion.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Is there a second? Councilman Balliet. Discussion? The terms?
See, what's
Yeah, I don't know.
the farthest one out is
2029?
6/7 of 22. And who made the second?
Councilman Balliet.
Okay, thank you.
In discussion? So I just want to say, as you know, my wife was chairman for 7 years. And during that time, there were people that came and, they served and came and went. Some of them had ulterior motives. I'm not saying that Alan does, but I'm just going to point out some things that happened in the past. As an example, somebody had a face painting business and they wanted to do that during the event. Another one was a cupcake business and they wanted to sell their cupcakes. So they had other motives other than bringing the entertainment to the commission, to the community. I just want to make it known that his job is to organize the events, to fundraise, to work the events. Now, I understand he's live streaming, so that could be considered working the event, but I just want that to be known by council that in the past it has been issues and there's been I only listed 2 there. There were many more. And they served a while and then they left because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get out of it. So
I would absolutely believe you won't have this issue with him. This is a gentleman that 2 days after the birth of his child came and set up to live stream the event and only left because he needed to go back home and we told him to leave. But his devotion at every event was there, and he was there early. He stayed to the very end. During our interview, you could just hear the ideas flowing from him of what he wants to do and possibly even people he's talked to bring into this commission. So I really believe he's just above and beyond and will do great for us.
And I agree, and I don't think it'll be an issue at all, but Shane knows what I'm talking about within the past.
Oh, I know.
And there was many more than just the 2 I listed.
I absolutely think that needed to be brought up.
Yeah. Just so the committee's aware of it.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think this is going to be a problem for Mr. Sylvester. As a matter of fact, I actually asked him if he would be interested in joining. But you're absolutely right. We have had that issue over the years with commission members. Not all of them. There are many, many great commissioners. And there have been many great commissioners who, are involved in businesses that we didn't have a problem with, but we have had our share of ulterior motives for being on a commission. And that has definitely presented problems. So, yeah, absolutely.
So with that being said, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. There are 7 ayes. And I don't think it will be an issue. I just want the committee to be aware of past situations for future interviews. So, we did receive a letter of resignation from the auxiliary police officer Al Kloss Jr. Is this, I don't know what the date on the letter was, but is this 2 weeks actually up by now?
Close.
Can we send a letter of appreciation from council? Borough engineers report, we have none. Solicitors report.
I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Unfinished business part 1, we have ordinance 1204. We had our first reading August 17th, and our second reading is tonight. An ordinance amending chapter 15, section 602 of the Borough of Emmaus Code of Consolidated Ordinances regulating the issuance of disabled parking spaces and signs for persons with a disability or severely disabled veterans, providing for application review, procedures for issuance of disabled parking spaces and signs, renewal of disabled parking spaces and signs, and removal of unneeded disabled parking spaces and signs. Would somebody like to make that in the form of a motion?
I will.
Councilman Hart, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Discussion? This is a roll call vote. Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Balliet?
Aye.
Councilman Hart?
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg? Aye. There are 7 ayes. Yes.
When you ask for discussion, can you just wait 1 second? She's on delay
Oh, that's
in hearing it, because I do think she was gonna say.
I'm sorry. Were you going to say something, Shannon? I'm sorry, because Shane just pointed out because of the delay, we're not hearing you right away.
Yeah, we're on probably a second delay, so it's, when we're going through, I think you're getting ready to say something and we were already on the vote.
And I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at the
Yeah.
screen, so I didn't see.
That's okay. I don't think it was necessarily going to affect the vote, but I just wanted to, after reading it, it talked about a period of time for renewal in the month of January. And I wanted to know if there was a process for notifying people when the renewal time was up, because if they miss it, they would have to repay all the fees. So I just wanted to make sure that there was something in place.
To let them know like
Yeah.
2 weeks in advance or something.
Yeah, and Mayor, that would be a procedural thing we'll have to talk to the
Yeah, we
police
have to work
department
that
about.
out, yeah. We
And
will
making
work
sure the
something out.
application was available and that they could find it easily, or if it was sent there or something. I don't know. I just don't want somebody to get stuck with a high cost.
That's a good point,
because they
Shannon.
happened to miss the date.
All right,
And that was it. Thank you.
you're welcome. We have nothing under new business, unfinished business part 2. Items not on the agenda, does anybody have anything to bring forward? Mayor's report.
Thank you. I have nothing to report officially this evening. However, we are in need of crossing guards. If anyone is interested and has a half hour to spare in the morning or afternoon, please contact Cindy Pondle or Sergeant Shantz at the police department, and we'll get you started. Other than that, progress.
Is that just elementary schools?
Right now, elementary school, yes.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Chairman Anders.
Nothing for official action this evening. Just wanted to do a quick note to our Public Works. They have been rebuilding our parks. Community Park looks really great. They got the mulch back in and has fixed many of the things from the flooding. I know they're out there working hard each and every day to bring us up to speed in our location. So I wanted to note that. Our next meeting is actually going to be canceled. That was scheduled for September 9th. We will meet then in October, and I'll report progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee, Chairman Balliet.
Mr. President, we already had our vote for Carol Davison, which we approved for her. Our next meeting is going to be September 30th, 2020 at 4:30. With that, I'll report progress.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one additional item for action and a few items for discussion. So I'll start with the item for action. So you'll see there in your iPads the home runs for trees for local government grant application. And as you're aware, Junior Councilman Houseman is working on a project for planting trees in our community. and he became aware of this grant and would like to have the borough apply for it for that effort. This would be towards the original engineer's recommendation for the MS4 plan to plant 100 trees, so it's that. So we would like to put it in the form of the motion to apply for this Home Runs for Trees for Local Governments grant. It is, it would be, let's see, awarding $1,000 for planting trees if we were to receive it. No additional cost to the borough.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman. Any discussion? I think this is great that this is available, so this will be a nice addition to the borough and help Jonas out.
And so Jonas is here. Jonas, do you have anything you want to say?
I just want to say that this is an amazing opportunity for me, especially because there's not a lot of opportunities right now for getting money. But this would greatly help out my cost if we could get this. So, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity and being told about it. Thank you.
And Junior Councilman Hausman, do you feel that you are able to commit to applying by the deadline, which is coming up this month?
Yes.
Okay.
Councilman
All right,
Anders.
and again, I will assist you with that as well if you need it.
I just want to note, it is 10 trees that would be awarded. Up to $1,000 is the value of that. So
Oh, okay, I
10
believe she
trees.
said 19.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
Councilman Anders is saying that it's for 10 trees, but
10,
I think
correct.
you said it was for 19. But regardless, $1,000, whatever trees amount of trees we get, the borough benefits, and Jonas. So any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? There are 7 ayes.
All right, thank you. So we do have a few items for discussion that came up during our committee, but the individuals who raised the issues weren't available for our committee meeting. So that's why it's before us as a council today. I believe Ms. Laura, are you on? Yes, I see her on the Zoom meeting. So Ms. Laura's on the Zoom meeting. She's with Emmaus Main Street Partners, as you know, and she had some ideas for some upcoming events. So we'll start with discussing the reverse parade, which is an idea for how we might have a Halloween parade, but a sort of a variation on that tradition. And also discuss what might happen with the tree lighting ceremony that we traditionally have for the winter holidays. So, Ms. Laura, I know you weren't able to come to our committee, but I see you're on with us now. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about these events and what you have in mind.
Sure. So with the Emmaus Halloween event, I'm thinking of kind of a reverse of what we normally do. Where normally people stand, this time they would drive through, so it would be socially distanced. So we're thinking of having something at Emmaus Community Park where organizations, businesses, we can lay out the guidelines later, would come and have a specific space that they can decorate with whatever theme they want, similar to a float, but it would be a static float. It would just be that piece of land within Community Park, and then attendees would be in their cars and drive through a specific route designated by organizers, kind of like a Lights in the Parkway deal, where you just drive through, you see who all the people are, all the organizations, what they're representing, what they've designed and put together, and that way everyone can maintain within their own vehicle. The organizations, it's their decision whether they want to participate or not. And we would have a limit of 250 people within the park, so we could limit based off of how many organizations or businesses sign up to participate. We could limit how many attendees are within their setup. I'm thinking, I don't know when the date of the parade normally was. I personally have an event on October 24th, and I would love to be part of this, so I'd be willing to do it October 17th or the 31st, Saturday evening. If council wants to have it on the 24th, I'm willing to do behind the scenes work, but would just be unable to be there day of. just excited about all the excitement that has surrounded the concert series and the movie night, and want to keep that momentum going and keep Emmaus's spirits lifted through this time.
So Ashley, traditionally, the Halloween parade's always been the third Saturday in October, so that would be the 17th.
Oh, perfect.
Even if,
Do you think, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Pepe.
So first of all, Ashley, thank you for the idea. I think it's a really cool idea. It's not a parade, right? It's an event.
Right.
That we could call by any name. So, but I don't think that it's really going to matter in terms of when that date is. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 17th. The 31st might be a cool day. You know, one thing that we have to talk probably at our next council meeting about is whether or not trick or treat's going to occur and how. We haven't had that conversation yet, and those conversations do need to be had. And you know, if we do have it, what the date's going to be. I mean, normally it would be the Friday before.
The last Friday of October.
Yeah, it'd be the Friday before Halloween. So, you know, the 31st on a Saturday could work. It also gives a little bit more time to organize an event and pull it off. I mean, that's going to be the challenge here is, you know, trying to pull something off by the 17th. I would think the closer to Halloween that you could get that kind of event, probably the more successful we can make it. So those are just some of my thoughts.
Shane, just not to throw a wrench into this, but I spoke to somebody in the community today that would like to do like a car show. He wanted to do it on Trick or Treat night where there's a car show, and instead of kids going door to door, they could go to the cars and get money, or not money, candy. So I think that person is going to be coming forward, but I'm sure you can work dates out. I don't even know how big this event will be or if you can combine them or what, but just a thought. But that will be happening where somebody's going to be approaching you about that.
Okay.
Mr. President, I have a question. Ms. Laura, are you guys talking about participants being up to 250 and then cars driving through? Is that what I'm understanding, correct? And then can we make
You say that?
Oh,
Sorry.
Talk into that mic.
I'm sorry, Ashley, what did you say?
Say it again.
What did you, the 250 are participants, and then the drive-through would be the people that are attending the event.
Yes, the 250 in my head would be the people who are on the
In the park.
displays, not including the cars
Okay.
that drive through.
Is there any way that we can make this a fundraiser because we've got the big anniversary of the Halloween parade next year?
I suppose
Yeah,
you could have a collection, somebody standing there with a bucket or something.
Just the participation of the Halloween
Or even
parade
floats.
committee would be really nice to have more of an interaction there. And it is a really cool idea. I love it. Thank you.
So it sounds like there's support, Ashley. Do we need to make a motion tonight, Shane?
So,
Hey, Mr. Pepe, I just had one question about, would we need to check about any events, any reserved pavilions or anything that might interfere with whatever night this event might take place?
Aren't we closed with them by that time? 31st?
So the 31st would be the absolute last day anybody could rent anything. So yeah, we will have to take a look at that. At this point, it would be dark out by the time the event happens. But yeah, we will definitely have to take a look at that. You could make a motion contingent upon us verifying that nothing's going to be a problem there.
And Ms. Laura, are you thinking October 31st officially, or?
Yes, for the reasons Shane mentioned, just kind of buying ourselves time, and also it falls on Halloween, so how perfect.
Something for them to do, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are we ready to make that motion, I guess? I'm happy to put that in the form of a motion to recommend or approve the, I don't know what to call it, I'll just call it what's here, I guess. The EMSP reverse parade for October 31st in Mays Community Park.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Baumgartner, and I'm assuming with times to be determined, so in the future.
Right, and contingent on, making sure there's no interfering events.
Okay, and seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Any more discussion or questions?
I do. So, I mean, obviously, we can't, there's more details than just a carte blanche approval, obviously. First of all, I would like, if you could amend the motion to make that a co-sponsored event by the borough.
Sure, I'll make that amendment.
And second, Councilwoman McManaman, they both amended.
That helps with insurance protections on the event, because I do think it's something that we're going to need to partner with them very heavily on, and we should. We're going to want to provide traffic, we're going to want to provide other things, and if they're going to pull this off and make this successful, I don't want to be dollaring them to death either. So I think we want to have our hand in it. I also would prefer that you put right in your motion that funds, at least some portion of funds received go towards our 100th anniversary of the Halloween parade next year. I think that's important, and they're trying to make that as big as they can. I think that'll make everybody feel pretty good if we were to do that. So I would like that to actually go in there as well if we could.
Should that be in the same motion or separate?
I would like to just put it right in the same motion if you
All
don't
right,
mind.
so you both amend it?
Yes.
So amending the original motion to approve the Emmaus Main Street Partner Reverse Parade with the borough acting as co-sponsor for the event on October 31st in the community park, and with the directive for any donations received to go towards the 100th anniversary of the Emmaus Halloween Parade next year.
And
To capture it all.
You got it.
and amended by
Okay.
Councilwoman McManaman.
Yeah.
Councilman Dufresne.
Yeah, I just have one comment. I mean, sometimes the proper etiquette is to ask the person who's been running the parade committee. I know it's not the parade, but I hear you, but it's the proper etiquette to not completely exclude. So we just gotta be aware of that. I just wanna make sure that's out there.
Duly noted. Thank you. I will reach out.
Okay? I'm sure she'll be
Thanks, Chief.
happy. I'm sure she'll be happy. They'll be happy that it's funding next year's parade, but,
I'll reach out to them.
okay.
And I think you look at this as, like, the zoo had a drive-through zoo. I know my family and I went down to Six Flags, they had a drive-through through their zoo as well. It's more that than a parade going through. You're driving through, it's your speed, or whatever speed we control it, and we create a maze through the park in one way, out the other, control the traffic, and, I mean, whatever you want to call it, float stages, whatever their areas are, you
We will
know.
not market it as a reverse parade, although that's.
Yeah, it's more like a drive-through event, like lights in the parkway, something to that, like that effect.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Thank you, Ashley.
Yes, thank you. That's a really creative idea, and I'm excited for it. For my own children who are already talking about Halloween. All right. I know you had one other event, so we'll stick with that while we're with you. So the other discussion was about the tree lighting ceremony and what your thoughts were about how to go about that. So if you want to discuss your ideas.
Sure. So obviously it'll look a little different this year as long as Governor Wolf's mandate is still in place of no gatherings outdoors with more than 250 people. As it stands right now, we're planning to host Farewell to Summer Festival, but monitor how many people we have there, including vendors, volunteers, chamber staff, and maximize 250. So we're looking at a combination of doing that, but also live streaming. It's gone really well with Alan. He already had the baby, and by the time December comes, he'll be a pro. So we're hoping that Alan will live stream the tree lighting as well. And the chamber staff, a bunch of people that do community tree lightings actually met last Wednesday to discuss what other communities are talking about. I actually wasn't able to attend the meeting. I'm on vacation right now, but when I get back on Thursday, I'm going to touch base with them to see what the ideas were. But I think it's going to be a combination of in-person, but also virtual streaming, because I think that's really successful, and it's a good service to the community. So not a concrete plan right now, but just wanted to update you all that we are planning to do kind of a hybrid.
Okay. All right, so perhaps maybe you'll have some plans thought out for our next Parks and Rec meeting.
Yes, I'll
Okay.
come back with updates.
All right, looking forward to hearing them and what creative solutions you all come up with. So thank you. The next thing we have for discussion is the Halloween 5K. I don't know if Mr. Barrett is he on Zoom or in person?
No, he
Here's a planning
is
commission.
not here. He did send, he sent an email,
That's right.
with some of his thoughts, but he was unable to be here tonight.
That's right, I'm sorry, I forgot. Should we summarize his thoughts? So he was intending to hold the Halloween 5K, and he sent us a route. We had some discussion during our committee meeting, and Mr. Barrett was not in attendance, and so we had some questions that weren't answered, and that's why we are discussing it here, since it is time sensitive, and we wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to have it presented before council during a time that would allow for enough time to plan for this event. So I believe that was, yes, it's now attached. There we go. So we have his email attached, which addresses some of the questions that came up in our committee meeting. He is considering having the race over a 4-hour time frame, so providing extra time. And he proposes some ideas in his correspondence that's attached in your iPad for how he might have people roll out their start times so that people are spaced apart. It's my understanding that he doesn't anticipate closing any streets. He does plan to have porta potties, it looks like, and sanitary wipes available. He doesn't feel that there will be an issue with crowding because of the spaced out start times. What else? Okay, so I think those are the key points. I'm trying to see if I missed anything else. All right, so those are the points that he addressed in his email. Are there any other questions or concerns that his email might not have satisfactorily addressed that you want to raise?
So I read the letter, and as you know, he's been doing this races in the borough for quite a while. Not only the Emmaus Halloween Parade, but before that he was doing them in the park on the west end of town, and then the 4-miler he's been doing for a very, very long time. And he does races besides the ones in Emmaus, so he's very experienced with it. He's going to have signs up that he normally doesn't have for the 4-miler, and this is not a 4-miler, it's a 5K, which is 3.1. There will be volunteers at the major intersections. I don't think it's going to be an issue. So far they have 34, 36 applicants for the race, and although he thinks that they're going to wait till last minute because of all the cancellations with COVID and such. But I have total faith in Wes that he will have it following all the rules that we have for COVID. So I don't have any issue with approving this.
I just have one question. Is this going to be on the 17th? Is he still sticking with October 17th?
Where's his letter?
It says I still plan to hold the Halloween 5K even with the parade being canceled. That's as clear that's as clear as I could find though too.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure it was still going to be on the 17th.
In a conversation with him, that was the intention that he portrayed to me.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say it in the
It
letter.
doesn't actually say that. Was going to be my question too, but that's what I take it based on that sentence.
Does it
Yeah, it might be. It kind of would be interesting to have it the same time as the park event. to kind of partner those. But, so you think it's the October 17th, so it's the weekend before. All right. Okay. I have a question. I'm not familiar necessarily with the racing world, but I know Mr. Levenberg, you are, so maybe you can answer. Have there been 5Ks that have been going on where they successfully have parameters in place?
Where they have what?
Parameters in place for COVID.
Parameters in place like these to accommodate the current mandates.
So are there races going on now that take the hand washing and stuff?
I haven't really been paying attention as far as races. I'm sure there's races going on, but I can't confirm it.
I think there was just recently one actually for Water for Kenya. I think they did a 7-miler.
I do know I have a coworker that is running a half marathon and it's not canceled. What they're doing is the same thing Wes is doing. They're staggering starts. And it runs along the trail up in Northampton. I forget the name of that trail, but it runs along the river up towards, I don't even know which, towards, yeah, I guess it goes up, maybe even further than that, but, yeah. So, yes.
Yeah, usually the racers dress up in Halloween costumes, so I think that would be a fun thing for the neighbors to see as people are racing through the neighborhood. Another Halloween event. But okay, so I feel comfortable recommending this contingent. So I'll put this in form of motion to recommend our approval of the Halloween 5K event contingent upon ensuring that reviewing Mr. Barrett's plan to ensure that it's aligned with all the safety measures.
Final plan. His final plan.
What was that?
Contingent upon reviewing his final plan.
His final plan, yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Councilman Hart, discussion. Councilman Andrews.
Just, do we know, and we don't know, and maybe we can find out, the time frame? Usually it's at night, right before the parade. So being that there is no parade, would it be earlier in the day, in the afternoon?
Yes.
I see it used as an example in here from 1 to 2.
This is a daylight.
So
This is a daylight
it
event.
is going to definitely.
I think
Okay.
originally, from what I read, it was from like 12 to 4.
Which is fine, which is good. Okay.
Any other question? Oh, Councilman Hart.
Just a comment. I do like the idea that it is not on the same date as the reverse parade. It gives us an opportunity to have yet one
Two
more
different days.
thing for the people of Emmaus to feel good about.
It's a good point. Spread it out. All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Anything else, Shanna?
That is all. So we had a lot to discuss. You'll also see in our meeting notes that we have some updates on study surveys and whatnot, as well as updates on taking care of flood damage in our parks. So you can review the notes, and I'm happy to address any questions if you have them.
Thank you.
And October 6th at 4:45 p.m. is our next meeting. It'll be held via Zoom, and I report progress.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. We already handled ordinance 1204 and voted upon it. There was no meeting since our last council meeting. Our next meeting, as mentioned previously, is September 14th at 9:15 a.m., Zoom only. I report progress.
Thank you. General Administration Committee is myself. We have a request for a proposal for architectural services for municipal buildings. This would be for our police, ambulance/fire, and Borough Hall. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the RFP?
Well, so before you do that, just remember what I put in your notes there. Do not pay attention to the dates. It's the content of the RFP that we're
Right, it had April in there.
Right.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilman Hart. Discussion? Just for the public, as you may or may not know, we have sold our future Borough Hall due to the extreme costs of going from approximately 4 million up to 12 million. It basically tripled. So we decided to sell the building and put those proceeds towards renovating all our current buildings and bring them up to standards. So that's just an update. With that being said, any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We also have an RFP for audio-visual services for Town Hall. As you know, with the Zoom setup, we did a makeshift to make it work, but it's not ideal. So it's been quite a while since we've had this hookup here, and we just want to see what the cost would be to update this and bring it up to date. So with that being said, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the RFP for our audio-visual services? Councilwoman McManaman, seconded by Councilman Dufresne. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. We had a good meeting. We discussed a lot of things, and you can read the meeting minutes. And our next meeting is this Thursday at 9 a.m. Progress. Budget and Finance Committee Chairman Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilwoman Baumgartner, can you hear me?
I can hear you pretty well.
Okay.
Sometimes it's garbled. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for checking.
You're welcome. So, as you can see, and there's a few items for action tonight. You can see in your packet the significant expense and the revenue, and also the budget report. The bill list is our first item for action, so it's Resolution 2020-29. Resolved by the Borough Council to authorize payment of the September 8th, 2020 bill list as follows. The bill list is $165,054.08. Payroll number 18 is $157,374.39. And payroll taxes are $50,204.95 for a total of $372,633.42 done this 8th day of September 2020. So I put that in the form of a motion.
Motion by Councilman Dufresne. Is there a second? Councilman Hart, questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, the next one is the FEMA preparedness grant to assist our firefighters. And before I make a motion on this, I'll let Shane talk about this for just a little bit here.
Thank you. And Chief Price actually is on the call, so I did ask him to unmute. So just real briefly, we set into the budget. I think it was $36,000. I think was the original budget for a radio grant for the ambulance department, and with matching money of 10%, we received the grant, much to our delight, and the grant came in at $48,000. And our expense to do it would be just slightly over $48,000. I think it's like $49,500. I think it's the updated quote. Again, the challenge of putting something out in October for a budget item is that it always increases the next year. So it did increase slightly, but we have a 10% match. So I think we'd be all in around $5,400, $5,500. Our radios in the ambulance department are an increasing concern, and they have been a concern for quite some time. They're not the updated radios that have a better frequency. They're older, and what we're seeing is the more and more buildings that are put up, the more and more issues that we have, and so and we're not up to date with the technology that's out there today. So our radios are very old. What we're asking council to do is accept the grant and to authorize us to make the purchase this year. So that way we can get this done and over with. So our match would be slightly over what we had budgeted. And I know that we had said that we were cutting out all of our capital expenses, but I do think that at this point we do have $5,500 in our budget to cover this, especially since it's a need and not a want. This isn't fancy. This isn't anything that's pretty. It's something that we've got to have. And Chief Price Now it's your turn to correct everything I said.
Yeah. Once again, Shane was fairly correct. Just to be more specific on council, the 2020 budget had $3,555 budgeted for our match to this grant application, which means we're coming up about $1,545 short from that. But with a lot of the other cutbacks, and I have not been putting money into the existing radios, I do have that remaining in the balance of the budget under the radio maintenance account.
Anything else, Chief Price?
You want him to keep talking?
No. Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to accept the grant and to approve the purchases associated with the grant for the 2020 calendar year.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Hart. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no.
All right, Chief, you can order them tomorrow.
7 ayes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the next one is the ambulance billing. So we did hire a company to do a study on our billing for the ambulance. And, I want to start by saying the report's attached here, but I want to start by saying, our team's doing a pretty good job at the billing. It's a highly specialized field, though, that changes quite a bit, and there's companies out there that specialize in this and are more able to keep up with all these codings that change and stuff. So, on the ambulance side, we are losing money, and it just doesn't seem to make sense to keep this internal, the billing, and we should probably turn it over to the company that specializes in this. So I'm going to make a motion that by the end of Q1 2021, we outsource the ambulance billing function.
Which quarter?
End of Q1,
First quarter, in the first quarter.
Okay.
quarter one.
Councilman Hart.
Second the motion.
Second by Councilman Hart. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, next is the possible elimination of our ambulance subscription program. So you can see the memorandum in here and there's calculations that are in here. So we just want to make sure that we're all aware here. It's only a timing issue, but this year we will lose $60,000 of budgeted revenue if we eliminate this, but over the course of the year, the calculations that you see in your iPad are more accurate. So I'm going to make a motion to eliminate the ambulance annual subscription effective for calendar year 2021. And as we saw from our billing study that we had, this is an antiquated program that is falling by the wayside in most communities at this time too. So it goes along with what was said in our billing study.
Here's a motion by Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilman Hart. Any discussion?
I just wanted to say something about this. When I was reading it, the thing that was most concerning to me was just the management issue. It sounds like it takes a lot of work to manage. And considering that we are looking for a new EMS chief and we don't necessarily have strong management in place to take this on, I understand that it would be more helpful to not have this on anybody else's plate to deal with. So just want to put that out there. Outside of just a financial issue, it's also a management issue.
Good point. And that was discussed. Anybody else? Councilman Anderson.
So I am a subscriber for it. Have been for a few years after a little incident. I look at our overall numbers of only 1,589 subscriptions, and we have over 11,000 here in the borough. It's something that's not being used. It's something that's not being taken advantage of, or if it were to be needed. So I do agree with this, and I appreciate all the thorough data that your team has put together for us to help us understand it. And therefore, I do agree with this. I just looking at those numbers, I appreciate all the data that Shane and your team put together for this. Thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Okay, you can see the meeting notes there, so unless anybody has any questions on the meeting notes, I'll report progress. And our next meeting is going to be a Zoom meeting on September 10th at 11 a.m. Progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next meeting is next week, so there's nothing new to report since our last meeting. Next, September 14th at 4:30 will be Zoom only, and I'll make a comment that we will have a special presentation from Altitude Marketing regarding the Emmaus marketing plan. So I think the committee is very excited to see that happen.
Speak into the head of the microphone.
And I report progress.
Thank you. Junior Council Members report. Junior Council Member Jonas Salzman.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, quite clearly.
Sorry. Virtual lessons have been taking place. Last week we had half day, and this week we have full week schedules, and these days go from 7:23 to 1 p.m. This transitions from traditional classes to online block scheduling. Has been difficult for students. We've had a lot of difficulties, especially because we have been moving to online learning, as well as getting rid of Google Classroom setup that we've previously had since elementary school and moving to Schoology, though the teachers have been great about teaching us how to use the new website and getting us into the new block scheduling. And Schoology makes use of new technologies, which lets teachers and everyone make more out of what we have right now, which is virtual learning. We've had others struggle